Xbox's greed seems to know no bounds because Xbox Game Pass just got a lot worse. And it comes at a time in which the general public, at least in the States, is more considerate in where they spend their money. Now, it's no secret that the cost of damn near everything has been going up across the board. Whether you attribute that to the socio-political climate or just corporate greed, it's becoming more clear that we as consumers have to be more focused on what we spend our money on. At a point in time, Xbox Game Pass was the best possible deal for gamers, and I was pretty vocal about it through the years. From its original inception back in 2017, throughout all of the price hikes in different tiers, Xbox Game Pass has always been a phenomenal deal. But I think the most recent news just might be the straw that breaks the camel's back for a lot of people. If you're unaware, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate just got a price increase from $20 a month to $30 a month. A 50% increase in price. That is absolutely absurd. For reference, my phone bill has been the same for like 10 years and I don't have a contract. For a company who wants growth, Xbox doesn't seem to want to attract new customers. They want to bleed their current customers dry, which in turn might push them away. If you think this most recent move in pricing isn't the end of the world, let me give you a brief history of Game Pass and you'll see how absurd this has gotten. Xbox Game Pass launched in 2017. It was offered as a companion to Xbox Live Gold for about $10 a month. Side note, any prices in this video will be in the context of the US dollar. So for $10 plus your Xbox Live Gold subscription, you could get access to hundreds of games without the need to buy each one individually. That was a damn good deal. Now, it didn't offer all games that were available in the Xbox Store catalog, or even all first-party games, but it offered enough to where you could eventually save money in the long haul. In 2018, it was announced that all future first-party games would come to Xbox Game Pass on the day they release. So new entries into franchises like Halo or Gears of War and so on would be quote-unquote free for Game Pass users. It sounded like even more bang for your buck. So for $120 a year, you could get a ton of new games to play on Game Pass. But at this time, you did still need a gold subscription, which was about $60 a year. But if you played 3 full-priced games a year, your Game Pass and gold would, in theory, pay for themselves. So play 4 or more games, and the value really came to fruition. In 2019, a new tier of Game Pass was announced, Game Pass Ultimate, which was the same Game Pass as you knew it, but now included your Xbox Live Gold subscription. So now you didn't have to have 2 separate subscriptions, you could have them all in one place and get all of the benefits. Game Pass launched at a price of about $15 a month, so the price evened out to that same $180 as paying for Gold and Game Pass separately. A month later in 2019, and Game Pass PC was announced, which is basically the same service but for use on your Windows PC, not just for console. PC Game Pass would also be included in Game Pass Ultimate. So for now $180 a year, you could play Xbox Live, a bunch of new games for your console or your PC. In 2020, Project xCloud was announced, which was cloud gaming, which would also come to Game Pass. So you could save your storage and play games via streaming with your Game Pass subscription. So throughout this time, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate seemed like a steal. For $15 a month, you could play a ton of new games on day one on your Xbox console or PC without needing a separate online service. Fast forward to 2023 and Xbox Live Gold would be sunset. It would be replaced with a new tier of Game Pass, this being Xbox Game Pass Core. Offered for $10 a month, you would get access to online services and a select offering of a few games. Now, you wouldn't get new first-party games on day one, but they could potentially be added at a later date. So now, if you played hypothetically one full-priced game a year, but it wasn't on Game Pass, you would need to spend $120 a year on Game Pass, and then the $60 for the game that you wanted to play. Fast forward even more time, and Game Pass would see some new updates once again. Eventually, we would see 3 total tiers for Game Pass. Core for $10 a month, which included online access and a limited number of games, but none of which were day one first-party games. Standard for $15 a month, which included online access and hundreds of games, but none of which were day one first-party, though these titles could again be added later, just not on day one. And finally, Game Pass Ultimate got an increase to about $20 a month, which included the same things as a previous tier as well as day one releases, EA Play, cloud gaming, and discounts on games that are in the Game Pass catalog. So if a game was going to be leaving the service soon, you could purchase it for a little bit of a discount. This original price increase already drew some criticism. Game Pass Ultimate for $15 was already a steal, so how did it being increased by $5 change the value? Well, we already know the benefits of Game Pass, so let's look at the total cost of the service. For context for this portion, let's forget about what Xbox Live Gold used to be and just look at what the games would cost. At $15 a month, Game Pass Ultimate would run you about $180 a year. When Ultimate was at that price, you had to play 3 full-price games a year in order to get your money's worth. Still a damn good deal, especially when games like Halo, Call of Duty, and Gears of War were on the service. So if a new game came out and you beat it fully within that year, you effectively saved money if you played more than 3 of those games. At $20 a month, it would cost you about $240 a year. So you'd now need to play 4 full-price games in order to get your money's worth, and any extra was again saving you money. Compare the price of Ultimate to Core at $120 a year, and 2 full-price games would still really be a deal. Now here in the fall of 2025, Game Pass Ultimate has yet again gotten another price increase. Game Pass Core would be rebranded to Game Pass Essential, still at $10 a month. Game Pass Standard would now be Game Pass Premium, and again, still at $15 a month. And Game Pass Ultimate would get a price increase to now $30 a month, a total cost per year of $360. Now keep in mind you are unable to purchase a 12-month subscription of this service. So Game Pass Ultimate went from costing you $240 a year, which, while steep, was still able to be viewed as a net positive for many gamers, but now it's $360 a year, which many might see as way too much. Compare the new price of Ultimate to Core/Essential, and you essentially have a difference of $240 a year. And while the benefits of Game Pass Ultimate still surpass that of the lower tiers, in order to get your money's worth, you'd realistically need to play 6 games priced at $60 to get your money's worth. This also neglects the fact that many games are starting at about $70 now. At $70 per game, you need to play about 5.14 games in order to get your money's worth. So, play 5 full-priced games and a couple of lesser-priced ones. Game Pass still seems like a deal. But here's where the problem lies. At $240 a year, I was fine paying for the service. I didn't love the price, but I could still see the value inherently. I have played so many games that I would have never thought about buying with Game Pass that it really expanded my horizons and led me to enjoy so many more games that I would have never have tried. And while that value is still inherently there, it is now much more work in order to get that value out of the product. Coupled with the fact that the price of their consoles keep increasing, it seems like there's no real reason to become a new Xbox user. An Xbox Series X cost you $500 on launch day. If you want to buy one now, it's going to cost you almost $700. So if you wanted the best console and service in terms of games to play and the console to play on in the Xbox ecosystem, you would need to spend about $1,000 in a year. Now obviously there are cheaper consoles and cheaper tiers of Game Pass, but to get the best possible version, the cost is now way too high. Game Pass started off like all subscription services do. A new service at such a low cost, it seems like a no-brainer to opt in. So you do. And eventually they raise the price, and maybe you continue to see the value in it, so you keep it. But eventually they raise the price enough to where you might no longer see that value. Look at Netflix, a service which at its inception you paid such a low monthly cost for, you got unlimited movies, ad-free, everyone seemed to be in on it. Then they raised the prices. And then they did it again, and they added more tiers. Eventually, people either bit the bullet because they've had the service for so long they can't seem to live without it, or they finally decide to leave because the cost-to-value ratio has gotten too absurd. It's a shame the way Xbox is going these last few years. I've been an Xbox fan ever since the original console, but as time passes, I find it harder and harder to recommend this to anybody that's outside of the ecosystem. Whether you like Xbox or not, their recent moves are not what is best for gamers, and unfortunately, when prices go up, they don't tend to come down. So vote with your wallet. And that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys for sticking around and watching this. Are you an Xbox fan? Are you a Game Pass subscriber? Let me know what you think of these changes down below, and let's keep this conversation going. Thank you guys for sticking around and watching this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheerio, mates.